This is Join Us in France, episode 56. Hello, I'm Annie, and I am pleased to be talking to you. Today, I bring you a wonderful tour guide from Provence. A lady named Véronique Flayol, who is a native of Provence and specializes in wheelchair-accessible tours in Provence. She owns a van in which she can take a wheelchair, and if she needs to take more than one wheelchair, she can rent a vehicle that can accommodate more. But I really think she goes above and beyond simply being able to take a wheelchair in her vehicle. She really makes sure that every aspect of your tour, if you need an accessible tour, is fully accessible. The restaurants, the bathrooms, the museums, the whole thing. She'll take you through roads where you're not going to have any trouble. So that's a really, really important service that she offers there. She also does day tours for cruise passengers, and those are always hugely popular in Provence because when you have just a short stop, you really need help getting places you want to see and back to the ship before it sails off. I got her to say a few words in Provençal, which is a lovely dialect, which I don't speak, but she does quite well. So that was very fun. And also, as you may know, the south of France has some distinctive accents. The southeast of France has her accent, the Provençal accent, and the southwest has my accent, which is the Toulouse accent, and hers is just absolutely fabulous. It's beautiful. It makes me smile just hearing it. It brings the sunshine just hearing that accent. So it was lovely to hear her say a little bit about in French, and those of you who speak French will really enjoy that. Her website is provence-transport.fr. I'll put a link to it in the show notes at joinusinfrance.com/56. Thank you, listeners who support the show by going to joinusinfrance.com/Amazon, where you can make your Amazon purchases at the regular price. It will not cost you a penny more, but we get a small commission because we sent you there. But the only way to do that is you have to go to joinusinfrance.com/Amazon first. And from there, you click there. And if you go to Amazon through there, you will be making a donation to the show. You can do that from your phone even. It works any way you do it. You can also donate to the show by going to joinusinfrance.com/support. Thank you so much for those of you who do that. Much appreciated. All right, here's another friendly and wonderful tour guide from Provence, Véronique Flayol. Well, hello, Véronique. How nice to talk to you.
Yes, hello, Annie. I'm happy to be with you too. Right. Hello to our listeners too.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself to begin this interview?
Yeah, so I'm living in south of France. I'm lecturer guide since 2008 when I create my own tourist company. I work in south of France, in Provence exactly, and I work with cruisers in Toulon and in Marseille.
So you specialize in cruises?
Yes, most of my activity is giving tours with cruisers. The boats arrived in Marseille or in Toulon harbors.
Do you is that all? Do you go to Villefranche as well?
Sometimes, but it's not very usual.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's Marseille and Toulon.
Okay. And so, do you mostly have American passengers, English, German?
Yeah, most of my customers are American or Australian customers. But I also work sometimes with Spanish or people coming from South America.
Oh, very good. And now you specialize in accessible cruise tours.
Yes, right. I work for 2 years now with an American travel agency specialized in tours for disabled people. So I do tours in special vans equipped for them, for disabled people.
So you can take on a wheelchair.
Yeah, I can drive them inside the van, sitting on the wheelchair.
Oh, that's really good. That's really
Yeah,
handy.
that's nice because it's a way for them to discover the province, the countryside, but very easily without transferring.
That's really good. And so, where do you take them? For instance, give us an example of a typical tour that you would do.
Most of the time, as I said, I go and pick them up in Toulon or in Marseille Harbor.
So just
And
on the dock of the
yes,
ship.
on the dock, directly on the dock.
Yeah.
I wait for them with a sign with their name, and so when they get on out of the ship, I take them in the van, and we begin the tour.
Very good. And what's a typical place you would take them? Say for Marseille, where could you take them?
Either from Toulon or Marseille, the most popular and famous, we can say the most appreciated tour is the one which allowed you to discover the city of Aix and the small fisherman harbor of Cassis. This is one of the most popular.
Oh yeah, it's really beautiful.
Oh yes, it is.
So tell us a little bit about Aix.
So Aix is an important city for the region. It has been founded by the Roman in 132 BC. So it's a very old city. And yeah, not as old as Marseille, because Marseille was founded by the Greek 2,600 years ago. So it's our the oldest city in France. But Aix is also has also an interesting past. It was on the way of the we had a famous road in Roman times called Via Domitia. And this road allowed the Roman to join Italy to Spain, and Aix was on this road. And so the Roman army, when they joined Spain, they found in Aix-en-Provence many natural springs. And you know that the Romans were very keen on thermal baths and hot waters. So they decided to found a settlement there. And so this is the origins of the city of Aix.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I've been there many times and it's really pleasant.
Oh, yes.
So I suspect that because you sometimes bring disabled cruisers along, you know all the ways, where you can take a wheelchair and, what's accessible, what's not.
Yes, I have designed special tours for these people, disabled people. So my tours can allow them to discover the city very easily in passes where the wheelchair can go, and but X is not very difficult for the wheelchair. We can find easily a way, and we can discover very quietly the city, because most of the old part of the city is pedestrian only, so it's very easy.
That's true when it's pedestrian. But sometimes, we have this problem in France with people parking on the sidewalks and that sort of thing sometimes.
Oh, yes, I know. It's difficult. Sometimes we don't realize that it's so difficult to organize a tour for people in wheelchair. Yeah.
But you can always find your way around that. So
Of course.
that's really good. And so you can take one wheelchair on, right? And the other passengers would be
most of the time it can be a group with one people in wheelchair and the other are valid. But sometimes I had a group last year with 8 wheelchairs and 8 valid. So I organized the tour with big vans where we could travel with 3 wheelchairs in one van. So it was easy.
Yeah. So it's just a different organization, but it can be
Yeah,
done.
it's just a problem of organization, but after it's still the same.
That's really good. And so when you take people to X, is that where you have a lunch with them, or how does it work?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I have lunch with my guests when I'm invited by them, and we can have our lunch in Aix. The visit of the city, the historical city, is takes about 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. It depends if
Okay.
sometimes I talk a lot, so it takes more time. But otherwise, we need 2 hours, we can say, and then they could have free time for them to discover the city as they want, do the market, because there are markets in the streets every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday in Aix. So
Okay.
it's very lively, and so sometimes I let them some free time to discover that.
Sure.
And then after, what we like to do is to finish by the city of Cassis. Um, so we can have the meal, the lunch, either in Aix or in Cassis.
Depending on what they want.
Yes, early in the afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, those are both very nice places where you'll find plenty of food options. So it's not.
Yeah, there are plenty of restaurants and small cafes, also gastronomical restaurant, but it's difficult to do a big lunch when you are in a stopover. It's most of the time it's sandwich or salad, something like that.
Something quick. Well,
Yeah,
mostly if they're cruisers, they had a big breakfast on the ship anyway.
yeah.
So it's not like you're
Yeah, but
starving.
yeah, we have some brasseries in Aix-en-Provence, and the most famous is the one, the favorite Cézanne's, Paul Cézanne's brasserie on the Cours Mirabeau, on the famous Cours Mirabeau.
Yep.
Eggs, and so many people when we do the tour, I show the brasserie, because we sometimes we focus on Paul Cézanne's life, and so I show them this brasserie, and sometimes as it is very nice, and it's listed on the historical monument list in France.
Yeah.
So it's a very nice place, very old place on the Cours Mirabeau.
So what's the name
And
of it?
Les Deux Garçons.
Ah, Les Deux Garçons. I knew that. I just couldn't remember it. I was like,
Yeah.
ah.
So it's very, very nice. We eat well there, and a little bit expensive, but worth to do it.
Yeah. It's popular. That's why
Yes,
it's
very. Yeah.
yeah. So when we were discussing this interview before, you told me you would talk about King René. I'd love
Ah,
to
yes.
hear about that a little bit.
Yeah, King René is our last king of Provence. You know that Provence was not French until the end of Middle Age, until the 15th century. And our last king of Provence was King René. King René was very, he marked the province. He was a great administrator for our country. And also it was an art patron, and he was called the winemaker king, because yeah, he was interested in wine, and as our king of Provence were also king of Naples and king of Sicily, and also, but just the title, they had the title of king of Jerusalem. So
well, there you go.
yeah, but it was just a title. They shared Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, with other kings. So But as he was also king in Italy. He introduced in Provence the grape of Muscat. So it was for this reason that he was called the winemaker king.
Muscat. Which one is that?
Muscat. This is a white.
Le Muscat.
Yes,
Oh.
Muscat. Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
It's a white, sweet variety of grape.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So he introduced that. What did he get it from Italy?
From Italy, yes.
I
From
see.
Italy. Yeah. So in the 15th century.
Okay.
But there is also a small story linked to King René about the specialty of Aix that are the Calisson.
Yes.
We call that Calisson. Do you want the story?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
I love stories.
It's a funny story. You know, the Calisson are still produced in handmade in Aix-en-Provence nowadays, but it's a very old tradition linked to the King's René wedding, in fact.
Oh.
Yeah, the second wife was King Jeanne, was very, very, she was not very nice. She never smiled, and she was always sad, and she was very strict in a way. And so for their wedding, King René asked to his cooker to find something special for her, a sort of candy, sweet, something nice for King Jan. Okay. And so he created this candy made with ground almond, candied melon, and sugar. And he proposed that as a sweet to Queen Jan. And as soon as she had it in mouth, she smiled, for the first time. So all the people were so surprised to see her smiling and she said, "They Kalin soon," which means in our, we had our local language called Provençal, and in Provençal, what she said was, in fact, it's hugs, it's very sweet, and it's. So from Dei Kalin soon, it became Calisson, and it is still the name of this candy produced in Aix, a specialty of Aix-en-Provence.
Yes, very popular. I must say it's not my favorite thing ever because I got sick on it when I was a kid. Ate too much of it and got really sick, and so anything that looks like Calisson d'Aix is like not for me, but most people love the stuff. There's that bakery. Well, it's a pastry shop on Cours Mirabeau as well that has.
Oh yes, Béchard. It's always cool. In winter time, because in fact the Calisson are sold all year long for tourists, for visitors, but local people like me, for instance, I'm Provençal and I'm really deeply attached to my roots. And for Christmas time, the Calisson are part of our traditions, and it is a part of our 13 desserts. For the Christmas meal, we have 13 desserts. It is a symbol of the Jesus and the 12 apostles. So,
is that what it is? I didn't know that.
Yes, the 13 desserts is the symbol of the group around Jesus. So the Calisson is one dessert of the 13 desserts. So we eat that for Christmas. And for Christmas time, on the Cours Mirabeau, in the pastry Béchard, there is a queue, a very, very long queue. You need passion to get your Calisson there.
Yeah, it's a very popular place. So
yes.
Is it just because of the location of the shop, or did they?
No, it's because they are really very good. They are probably the better in Aix-en-Provence.
So earlier you said something about the Calisson are made out of crushed almonds and candied melon.
Yeah, it's third. There are three equal parts. So it's candied melon, it's ground almond, and sugar.
Huh.
Only that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wouldn't see when you. Well, I haven't eaten one for so long. I don't remember what they taste like really.
Yeah, it's very sweeted and it's very sweet. And you
Yeah.
know the almond, the taste of the almond is pronounced, and
Yeah.
but it is very typical. You need to get to try, because it's also a good souvenir to bring to
Of
someone,
course.
because it's a small box, and it can go in your luggage very easily,
Yes.
and it's really the specialty of Aix.
Yeah, it's a really good gift to bring back because it's
Yes, of course.
light, it travels well, it's not gonna spoil.
Yeah, it doesn't break, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, no, it's a really good one.
yeah,
So you are
unless you eat them.
before you get home. Yes,
Yeah,
of course, of course.
yeah.
So you mentioned the 13 desserts. I'm curious because everybody does this a little bit differently. So I know now that Calisson are one of them. Can you name some of the other ones?
Yeah, you have all the dried fruits, like almonds, nuts, and these fruits are the symbol of the priest,
The
the
priests?
yes, the order of Benedictines, the order of Dominicans. They are symbolized by the dry
Oh.
fruits like nuts, chest, almonds, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah. We have also melon, the winter melon.
Mm-hmm.
We have the apples, of course. So we have
Grapes?
grapes, yes.
Yeah.
We have in total 13 desserts. We have a very special, we can say, it's not really cake, it's like bread, but with olive oil. It is called la pompe à l'huile. And
Uh-huh.
it is also a traditional dessert for Christmas time in our traditional Christmas meal.
Hmm. See, I don't know if I've had pompe à l'huile.
I think maybe it is called in another way in other region, but pompe à l'huile are very typical of south of France and Provence.
Mm. Very good. Very good. Okay, so do you speak Provençal?
Oh yes, of
You
course.
do?
Yes. We are not very numerous to speak Provençal, but I work. I'm involved in an association called Santo Madeleine, in a local association, and the purpose of my association is to transmit the traditions, try to uphold the Provençal traditions, and also the Provençal language. So I speak Provençal, yes.
Wow. Can you say a few things in Provençal? I don't know, introduce yourself or say hello or something.
Que voulez que te diga?
Uh,
What
uh,
do you want me to tell
I
you?
understood actually.
Ah.
Well, it's not that far from other,
It's a
you know.
mixed, yes, it's a Latin root, so it's
Yeah.
very close. It's very close to Italian and Spanish. You know, my husband doesn't speak Italian or Spanish, but when we go in this country, he can he speaks Provençal, so he can understand the people, because there are words very close, and so it's the same Latin roots, in
Uh-huh.
fact.
Uh-huh. So say something like, I like to visit Aix-en-Provence.
M'agrada de visitar la villa de Aix-en-Provence.
Parfait. Understood. See, I'm ready. I'm ready. I can do this. You could give me a tour, a whole tour in
Yes,
Provençal.
I can do it. You know,
Yeah?
on my lecturer card, I wanted the French Ministry of Culture wrote. They wrote me French, English, Spanish, and Provençal.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
because maybe I should explain that in France there are different types of tour guides.
Yeah.
There are some that are kind of registered tour guides, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which means that you have a special card that gives you special privileges when you book group tours and so
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
And they also show that you've done quite a bit of history, and you know you have a lot of education in this
history and art also.
yeah. So but more and more there are tour guides that don't have that qualification. So
They are just tour leaders, in fact, and
right.
it's a little bit different. To be lecturer, or really like me, for instance, you need to pass an exam.
Hmm.
It's an exam from it's a card delivered by the French Ministry of Culture,
Hmm.
and it means that you have knowledges on history, arts, and languages, and so you're allowed to do your job and to guide people all over France.
Right. Right.
And also in museum, which is very important, to be allowed to go in a museum, in a national museum, and to guide the people there.
Right, because otherwise you can't speak inside of a
Yeah.
you can't speak out
Also,
loud in a museum or in a cathedral or places like that. They
yes.
Yeah.
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 We are allowed to do that. Yes,
Yeah, very good.
without doubt. Hmm.
Very good. Yeah, you could maybe tell us a little bit more about Cours Mirabeau.
Yeah, the Cours Mirabeau is actually, and it has always been since the 17th century, when it is in fact the place where the old walls of the city, the ramparts of the city of Aix, were settled. And at the 17th century, as the city was too small inside, they destroyed the ramparts and made a boulevard there,
Ah,
which is now the Cours Mirabeau. So since the 17th century, the Cours Mirabeau is the place to see and to be seen. You know,
yes.
it's our local Champs-Élysées. It's the Champs-Élysées of Provence, and it's really you know, the place to be, even actually. And since the 17th century, because you know, at this time and during quite one century, the Cours Mirabeau was only dedicated to the nobility of Aix-en-Provence. You know, the simple people, the ordinary people couldn't go there. They couldn't walk on this boulevard. It was forbidden for them.
Mm-hmm.
So during one century, only the nobility, the nobles, and the very healthy people could walk and also be on a carriage on the Cours Mirabeau.
I see. So it was restrictive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays anybody can go.
Yeah, no. Nowadays it's yes, fortunately.
It's open.
Nowadays it's open to everybody, and it's really the place to be. We can. It's very lively, and you have numerous cafes and terraces of cafe on one side. This is where the brasserie Les Deux Garçons is.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, opposite to this side, you have the old private mansions dating from the 17th century, when they have built this new quarter of Aix-en-Provence called le Quartier Mazarin.
Mm-hmm.
And now in these old mansions, there are banks and also real estate agencies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to go back to something you were mentioning before, that you're part of an association
Yes.
to promote Provençal.
Yeah.
Do kids in Provence learn Provençal growing up?
Not at school, but in association like mine, we welcome. Yes, we welcome children. They can learn Provençal, but they also learn music. We have a traditional, you know, Provençal music. It's played with traditional instruments, like it's a special drum.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, and it's
Les fifres.
oui,
also.
les fifres. Oui, yes.
So fifre is a
pipe. Yes.
Yeah, it's a little pipe instrument.
Pipe instruments and a special drum, and so the children can learn this special instruments, how to play that, and learn music, Provençal music.
Yeah.
And then we have also dances, special dances, Provençal dances, linked to this old tradition.
Yeah.
So yes, we try to follow a line in tradition.
Right, because I mean, in Provence, a lot of people are newcomers. You know, a lot of people move to Provence because it's so lovely and the weather is so nice, and
yes, of course.
You know, but of course, the parents may not be able to teach the local language to the kids because they don't know it themselves, right?
Yes, of course, and it's also interesting for the people living here to know our old tradition, to integrate better in our local life.
Sure.
So it's important even for our children, local children, but also for the other, and it's a way to share and also to discover another one place in a different way, we can say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have beautiful traditions, and the whole crèche et les santons,
Yes.
all of that is just really fun.
Yes.
Even for the rest of France. I mean, I'm from Toulouse, and we enjoy santon and all of that. It's very nice.
Yeah. Oh yes, we could talk about that for hours.
Yeah.
Maybe another interview.
Maybe some other day. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to get to Cassis though. Sorry,
Yeah.
I say Cassis, but you say Cassis.
We can say both. Yes,
Both?
it depends if you're local or not.
So how do the locals say it?
Yeah, Cassis.
Cassis. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's an S at the end, and my
Yeah,
whole
but
life I've said it Cassis.
yeah, but you know, there is no rule about the S
That's
in
true.
Provence. Sometimes you pronounce it, and sometimes you don't. It's just a way. You need to be local to know to know that.
Yeah, totally. So tell us a little bit about Cassis.
So usually Cassis is the end of this famous tour, ex-Cassis. So Cassis is an old fisherman village. It became famous at the beginning of the 19th century when the former VIP came on the coast and discovers this wonderful little harbor. So now it's still famous and popular for healthy people. They live there. We can't live there. It's
very expensive.
Quite unaffordable.
Yeah.
But for a stop and a visit, it's very nice.
Yeah.
It's famous nowadays not for the fishermen, but for the first for the white wine, because they have a very good typical white wine.
What's it called?
It is called the white wine of Cassis.
Le vin blanc de Cassis?
White wine of Cassis. We call that vin blanc de Cassis.
Okay. Oh, you have a lovely accent in French. I like it. I don't know if the listeners will pick it up, but you have a very distinctive Provençal accent.
Yes, because I'm really I'm really local. So
yeah. So tell us a little bit about this vin blanc de Cassis, but in French. Let's see if they can hear it.
In French?
Yeah.
Le vin de Cassis a eu son appellation. Ce fut un des premiers vins à avoir l'appellation d'origine contrôlée, qui est une garantie de qualité pour le consommateur. Il a obtenu cette appellation en 1936, en même temps que quelques vins de Bordeaux. Et donc, c'est un des plus anciens vins renommés en Provence.
Beautiful, huh? I like. It's not that different from the way I talk, but it's slightly different and just cuter, just very nice.
Thank you.
So now you have to tell them in English the same thing.
So I said that Cassis was one of the former appellation. We have a label in France called the appellation origin controlled, and it's a guarantee for the consumer to have a good quality of product. It can be for wine or for goat cheese or for olive oil, but here in Cassis it's for the white wine. They produce a very good white wine, and they got the appellation very early in time, in quite at the beginning of the appellation in 1936, at the same time of the Bordeaux red wine.
Yeah, so that's a long time ago. I mean, it's one of the earliest ones.
Yes, it's one of the oldest appellation in France, and the wine is very typical. It's the vines are planted on hills, and the hills are facing the sea, and so in fact all year long you have the breeze of the sea, which is a little bit salted on the grapes, so, and on the vines, and so when you do a wine tasting of the wine of Cassis, at the end in mouth you have a little bit of the taste of salt, because of the climate, and also because of the location of the wine. So it's very typical wine.
Yep. That's a very. I don't know that I've had that particular one. I've had plenty of Côte de Provence.
Yeah.
Is it very different from Côte de Provence?
Yes, it's different. Cassis is very, very special.
Well, I'm going to have to look it up and see if I can find some at the store.
You must come and try.
Or go. So do you make, if requested, can you do gastronomy and wine tours as well?
Yes, of course. Yes, we have. I work with a private domain in Cassis and also in Bandol, but it's for the red there. But in Cassis, I work with a special domain called Baudin, and they have special facilities for disabled people. So we can go there and do a wine tasting. Of course, yes.
Wow,
it's possible.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's because I think people who might be hesitant to come to France if they know that they have limitations. I know when I had a relative who needed to be in a wheelchair some of the time. Well, if you don't know where you're going, it can be really, really painful, because you just decide, oh, we're going to go visit this thing. And on the way, you realize, well, that's like cobblestone. It's awful. It's really hard to do. So
of course.
It's immensely valuable to have somebody who knows which way to go, so that you avoid all these possible problems.
Yeah, but Annie, I've done my homework before designing the tours.
Exactly.
So now I know where to go and where not to go, and it's France is difficult because we are just getting aware that we need facilities for these people in wheelchair, but it's very, very new for us. So we need to work and just to find right places to welcome them, and also for the restaurant for midday. It's the same. We need to go in special restaurants. There is one in Cassis with special bathrooms for the wheelchair. It's very it's useful to go before, just to have your to
try it out,
to have your contacts and to know exactly where to go with the wheelchair.
Otherwise you will run into,
you lose your time, and it's
well, it's frustrating for the visitors too, because it puts them on the spot, like, oh well,
and it's a bad memory, so it's better to know someone who knows, and it can ease your cruise.
All right. Well, I think we've gone around a lot of wonderful subjects. You sound like a great tour guide. I think people would really enjoy going around with you.
Yeah, I will be happy to do that.
And just the fact that you pick people up from the cruise ship and take them back. That's a big deal, because I mean, I know I go on cruises in places that I don't know, and it's a little bit intimidating sometimes. You want to be sure the person will take you back on time and all of that.
Yeah. And sometimes, like Toulon or Marseille are big cities, and it's difficult to orientate yourself inside. It's better if you know exactly where to go in advance. Someone is waiting for you. You have a special vehicle to drive you, and you have a tour just designed for your disabilities. So it can be interesting. Yes.
Can you take people to Nice, Cannes, Monte Carlo, all that?
Yes, on request it's possible. Yes, of course, everything is possible on request because I work alone, and so I'm not in big company. So I can when I'm joined when the people join me and they ask they have special interests or special wishes or special needs, I can adapt and do made to measure tours.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not a problem for me.
Yeah, and also it would be good if they have uh, areas that they are particularly interested in. They probably need to let you know a little bit in advance, right? So you can do some research.
Yeah, so usually we just decide the tour in advance, not to lose time, because 6 or 8 hours it seems a lot, but it's very quick. We have to drive to big cities, so it's better if we know that in advance, to not to lose time. In fact,
Very good. Well, thank you, thank you. It's been lovely talking
you're
to
welcome.
you. Okay, so if people want to get a hold of you, Veronique, and they want to hire you for a tour, how do they find you? Your website, for instance.
Yeah, I have a website where there is a page contact where they can fill the page and send it to me. The address of the name of my website is provence-transport.fr.
Okay, all right. And I'll put a link to that on joinusinfrance.com. It'll be /, let's see, 56.
Yeah.
Yep. And your email address?
So my email address is vflayol at gmail.com.
All right, let me just spell that. It's VFLAYOL@gmail.com.
Yeah, exact.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully
Thanks to you, Annie. I'd be pleased to spend a little bit of time with you.
Well, next time I'm in Provence, I might take you up on one of your tours. Cassis sounds good, and also I would love a little more Provençal. I really enjoy that. I think that would just be delightful to learn a few, just a little bit of Provençal would be very fun.
Ah, yes. Why not? We can do the tour in Provence, no problem.
Oh wow, that would be exciting. I'd love that. Okay, well, thank you very much, and well, who knows? We might talk to
Thanks
you
to
again.
you. Have a nice day.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Au revoir.
Au revoir.